Hi everyone, how are you doing? My name is Che Praneshan Govender, and my academic background is a PhD in psychology from the University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. I currently work at Hotel School The Hague, which is a hospitality business school in Amsterdam. And I work as a lecturer in AR and VR in education. And I'm also a researcher on using immersive technologies in order to enhance hospitality education, but also to enhance training within the hotel industry. So interesting project I'm working on at the moment is using 360 video and 360 virtual reality in order to enhance job readiness, to digitalize standard operating procedures in the hospitality industry, and also reduce error rates and improve on-the-job performance for new employees within hotels. So a lot of interesting findings there. My research is more on low technology immersive tech. So these are things like 360 video, augmented reality on mobile, rather than your high-end VR content and experiences, which are a lot more expensive and costly to make. I also do research on 3D AI avatars and using them for self-directed learning for hospitality education. My entry into this field of research of immersive technologies happened by chance. I was working at the University of Johannesburg in 2017, and guess what? I needed a new mobile phone. I needed a subscription, so I moved from pay-as-you-go for many years to a subscription phone, and I bought myself the wonderful, the most amazing phone ever made, the Samsung S7 Edge. And the reason I say that is because that phone came with its own virtual reality headset or 360 video VR headset. That headset, you basically had this VR headset and you clip the phone at the back, and all of a sudden you had this VR device that you could look around in and experience virtual environments. Once I had put this on my face, I said, you know what? This is the future of education. This is the future of training. I want to be involved in this. This is really engaging. This is what education should be about. And I then bought myself a 360 camera. I started shooting some footage at home experimenting and playing around with it. Then I got a job in Amsterdam at Hotel School The Hague, where I am currently. And when I got there, I was working there for about 3 months or 4 months, and then the pandemic hit. And we were all of a sudden an applied sciences university that had a lot of practical outlets to train hospitality students to prepare them for positions in hotels, in high-end hotels. So we had outlets like reception. We had a hotel on the campus with actual international guests, and we had a kitchen, a five-star restaurant, and all the different outlets or departments you'd find in a hotel within our school for students to train in. However, because of the pandemic and we couldn't, we had to have social distancing, students couldn't use the outlets. So we then started thinking of ways to get students into these environments while being, at home and working remotely online. So we started experimenting with 360 video for some of the courses, more in soft skills training. And, as a manager, the skills you'll need to deal with team members and so on. And we got very positive results from students. We shared those. I was very lucky to have the opportunity to share those findings with management. Managed to get a small budget to start innovating and experimenting with AR and VR on a small scale basis. And from there, I was invited to work on a project called the Theta Project, Transformative Hospitality Education for Technology Abilities. And that project allowed me to work with 4 European universities on creating AR and VR content, low technology content for enhancing hospitality education. That was a 2-year project, and I learned a lot from that project. And from there, we started publishing, working together as a group of researchers. And it's been a real blessing to be part of that project. What is this blog about that I posted? And this blog is basically about a outdated model of education, which we see that's the Prussian model of education, which has been designed to produce factory workers and administrative workers to work in factories or bureaucratic organizations. And I think it's a commonly held belief that education model of education is outdated in terms of what we need in the current times, in the current economy and labor market. We need 21st century skills. So how do we build those skills? Critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, leadership, and soft skills are just a few that can be named. But how do we build those skills currently? And I believe that during the pandemic that we had a lot of learners, both in tertiary educations and secondary and primary education, who learned to learn self-directedly during the pandemic, because all of a sudden you were at home, you had your laptop, you had your phone, you had your parents assisting you as well, but you needed to gain some skills to identify information, be able to consume that information, and then also to reflect on that information and make meaning from the content. So self-directed learning is all about being able to have a learning goal. So as a learner, you're an independent learner. It's all about the learner taking ownership rather than a teacher teaching you. So it's more learner-driven, it's really the learner being active, so not being a passive learner. So to be self-directed, you need a learning goal. You then need to know what you know and know what you don't know. So what's my learning gaps? Then you need to go and identify information, select high quality sources of online information, consume that information. You have different learning styles. Some people are more visual, some are more auditory based learners, some are more reading based, some are more kinesthetic or like to work with their hands. So you need content that hopefully can leans towards your strengths there, but usually it's a mix of content that students need. So you then select content based on what you enjoy and what's available to you. Consume that content, make meaning, extract meaning from the content, and then thereafter be able to determine if you met your learning goal or what gap still exists, and then follow the cycle again, right? So that's self-directed learning, and it's about you being able to, the internet being a vast resource of SWOTs and huge amounts of information, YouTube articles, podcasts, etc., etc. So being able to make sense of this as a self-directed learner is what I'm talking about. However, with this huge maze of information, we've been given a beautiful opportunity here as learners, as educators, because now we have large language models and artificial intelligence that's really advancing at a breakneck speed. And what we see here is, a user interface for learning that can allow us to really search, identify, and summarize and pull content through in a very consumable way through a chat interface, etc., in order to give us this information and put it on a platter for us, compared to having to search for this information manually previously. Searching through Google, for example, we now have this information that's brought to us directly. We lose a lot of skills though, because we're losing skills as in terms of search, because we don't know how to search for information online, but also how to read through that information, because we're now just given summaries. So, how do we use AI responsibly for learning so we don't lose skills? Because currently there's an extraction of skills happening with AI at the moment. How do we use AI responsibly for learning as a tutor to guide us, to help us to learn self-directedly, to be that support when we're working at home, learning on our own? So that's the one opportunity the blog talks about. And the second opportunity is immersive technologies and, augmented reality and virtual reality. So AR is basically having a digital overlay over the real world. This could be through a mobile phone or a headset like HoloLens, or virtual reality, complete immersion in a total new environment. You completely locked out of the real world, and you believe you're in a new environment, right? So this allows us to create context. So it allows us to make the learner be in a different environment. Being able to experience something in a certain context, like visiting a history museum, for example. We can now bring that context to you virtually through a headset, but also through mobile phones. When we see this convergence of augmented and virtual reality, immersive technologies with AI, we see a powerful combination for education here, because we have high engagement with AR, and with AI we have the ability to search information and serve up information, but also provide learner analytics and so on, and customized learning paths, and flexible learning, more engaging learning, and we are able to do that. What's even more interesting is when you get AI and AR, VR converging, where AI is starting to make 3D content for immersive experiences in a very basic way. But hopefully in the future we see that advancing more and more. And currently in immersive technologies, a lot of the problem is content creation. So if AI can help us with that, we've got a really powerful concoction for a new learning model right there. So that's what the blog's about, and hopefully you enjoy it. Okay, so some of the challenges we could face with this model of learning, well, could be many things. We could see electricity as a challenge, so power generation and having access to power can be an issue, but we also know that the continent is one of the powerhouses in terms of availability of solar energy. So also wind and hydro, we see opportunities there in order for energy generation occurring through those methods. Also, training people on how to learn self-directedly, that could also be a challenge, having to run workshops to show people that process of how to learn on their own with AI, how to work with AR, VR. Also production of content, so especially immersive technology content. AR, VR content is hard to make, but now with AI, as I said earlier, we can see AI content creation can really help in some respects there. Also, literacy and numeracy could be an issue. We need those foundational building blocks in order for people to learn self-directedly. Opportunities. So some of the opportunities we could see for developing countries in Africa with regards to this new sort of education model could be that the leapfrog analogy, where African countries and also a lot of Asian countries leapfrog the landline straight into the mobile phone era. So in the same way, we could see a leapfrog from brick and mortar educational institutions to immersive AI-driven online educational institutions. It's not as easy as that, though. There'll be a lot of additional work to be provided to let the second scenario happen. But that is certainly a big opportunity for African developing countries, is to really use technology to provide a world-class education for students in developing economies.